about it.
Well, I got my boy Nate here. Do you know Nate? You've met Nate a few times.
Yeah, I think I met Nate for sure,
He's got
100%.
a picture with you down at Bev's.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember. He was, yeah. I was. I think he was a few weeks out from his show at that point. He was doing a show at that point, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember.
Exactly. He came back. He was like, dude, I can't fucking believe this guy's doing classic physique. Like, his arms are bigger than his head. I'm like, yeah. He's got that freaky look to be able to
man.
weight.
That was one hell of a run we had in classic, you know what I mean? But I'm glad we finally made the decision to go up.
Yeah.
How do I look? Do I look like too dark here or what?
Well, you're black. I
mean, exactly.
You're not Irish, you know.
Exactly.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, cool.
When you like move in and out, it moves in and out.
It moves in and out. Let me see something. Let me get a little light up in here.
There we go.
See if I can.
That's a great shirt. What is that?
Oh, this is my signature shirt.
The bull.
The
bull
I
love that.
Yeah.
Where can I get one of those? Do you have a website?
Yeah, I have. The link is right in my Instagram bio. But I mean, if you, I'll just send me your information. I'll send you one. Jose.
All right, awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
Cool.
So, let's get started here. You introduced to my boy Nate. Nate always has the intellectual questions. I'm more the conduit, I call myself, of to being able to reach out to all these people and get you on. And Nate has the smart guy questions. I tend to just fuck around with people.
All right.
But I want to start with a little bit about your background, because to me it's always interesting. You know, people want to talk how much you bench, what are you eating? You know, to me that's garbage. I want to know, who the hell's George the Bull? Like, where did this come from? This ability, because what you've done with being able to transform yourself into a classic guy after already having competed as a heavyweight, which many people don't know that you were previously a heavyweight, and then you went down to classic, you know, dropping somewhere around 20 pounds, right? To make the classic.
For sure.
And now morphing back into the freak in a 212, which looks like you're not going to be able to hang there very long either. You look to me that you're going to outgrow that. I mean, you just posted that picture, or Justin did, of you at 233, and your skin is like saran wrap. I mean, there's very little water in you. So I could totally foresee you moving up. And that, I'll let you answer, like what were you a crazy athlete? I know you said you played basketball. Did you play football? Did you wrestle? What got you into the bodybuilding type of thing where you knew that was something you're going to do?
Right. I mean, I was definitely an athletic kid growing up. I was all about athletics, you know, like I was, I mean, whatever sport you named, I pretty much wanted to be involved in it. I played, you know, I never played like organized football or organized basketball, even though I tried out for my high school basketball team and didn't make the team because I wasn't really that good. But I always played, you know, football in my neighborhood with my friends. I always played basketball in the courts in my neighborhood with my friends. When you mentioned wrestling, like I never wanted to do like collegiate wrestling, but there was a point where I wanted to do like professional wrestling, like WWE type stuff. And even in that, like my favorite wrestlers were the real athletic wrestlers, like the high flyers, like the Rey Mysterios and the Shawn Michaels, the guys who flip all over the place. Like I was all about just, you know, being an athlete. And so when it comes to, and I studied martial arts for many years. I earned a black belt in Shotokan karate. And the way I got into bodybuilding was pretty much through that, because my idol is Bruce Lee. And I remember when I was reading up on him, I read that it was a point where he started lifting weights to get stronger with his techniques. So I, you know, utilized that. I joined the gym. I started lifting weights for my martial arts. And then I noticed that in doing that, my body started to respond very quickly to the weights. And one day when I was just at the water fountain at the gym, some guy, he approached me and said, "Hey, do you compete?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "Well, you should." And he said, "Because I can see you have the genetic potential." And it was very intriguing because I never thought about doing bodybuilding at all. I was against getting big, like really big at that point, because I wanted to stay fast with my martial arts. And I felt like if you put on more muscle, you're gonna get slower, which naturally you would. But it intrigued me, and through him, with his help, I did my first bodybuilding show. And after that, I was hooked. And then I started actually YouTubing bodybuilding, and I was looking up the first bodybuilding routine I looked at was like one of Sean Ray's routines. And then I found Flex Wheeler and Lee Priest, all the guys, from the 90s. And I was like, wow, look at these guys. I never thought like I could ever it was like, wow, I don't think I could ever look like this, but this is amazing. And I was just intrigued to try to look like those guys. I was like, if I'm gonna do bodybuilding, this is the kind of look I want to bring. And that's pretty much how I got into bodybuilding.
How old are you now, George?
I'm 36.
36. So you're almost in your prime.
Yeah.
You're still on the climb.
Yeah.
Still getting better. I swear I made improvements into like 41. It wasn't till after 2015, 41 years old, that injuries started catching me. So you have many years to get better and better and better.
Yeah, so I actually, because I pretty much started weightlifting seriously late. Like I'm like usually when you talk to guys who are heavy into bodybuilding, they'll tell you they've been lifting since they were in their teens. I didn't start lifting weights really until I was about like 23, 24. So
You only got about 15 years.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's why you look so fresh.
Probably, yeah. That probably has something to do with it for sure. And that's but I know that I'm, even though I'm still, young and like you said, in my prime, I'm still aware that, the clock is ticking and, nobody could ever beat the clock. So I just want to, continue to train as safe as I can, as hard as I can, at the same time, as safe as I can to, avoid any, injuries. Thank God, knock on wood, I haven't had any injuries, that's happened, as of yet. So I want to try to keep it like that as long as I can,
Do you lift? Do you train super heavy or are you smart about that? Obviously, if you haven't had any injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I'm relatively smart about it, and Justin is a huge advocate about being smart about it. But we do still go, as heavy as I can. I mean, let's say when it comes to like how heavy I go, I'll usually go to a weight. Let's say like the lowest amount of reps I can get out of it, maybe might be 8 reps. Like if I can't get anything more than that, I tend to not go any heavier than that. Yeah. Because I always want to make sure I'm, continually stimulating the muscle. A lot of times when you go like ridiculously heavy, you don't even really feel the muscle anymore. You just feel like you're just lifting this weight. You know what I mean? So I always want to make sure I'm, constantly feeling the weight. But I understand that lifting, heavy is what contributes to getting that dense look. So I always look to challenging myself. I mean, when it comes to like, how heavy I go, like let's say for example squats, like the most I'll do in squats is about like five plates and a quarter. I really don't go any heavier than that.
That's heavy, George. That's plenty. 5 plates and a quarter. That's 545.
Yeah, exactly. But when it comes to when we're in the conversation about being smart, like see, I'll be doing that like pretty much in my off season and everything like that. When I'm like a few weeks out from a contest, you probably won't see me doing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's where training smart comes into play,
Yep. You ever been suckered into lifting some heavy weights during a photo shoot? You ever shoot with Pearson now?
No, I never, but I've heard those stories. Stories.
Count your lucky stars you never shot with him. I mean, his pictures will make you look like a cartoon, but
yeah,
he will push you. Like, can we put one more plate on? I'm like, yeah, sure. I can, okay, how about one more? Can you do one more? Before you know it, I'm front squatting 405 the day after the New York Pro.
Oh my God.
And Bev's plates are really like 50 pounds.
Yes.
So I was front squatting more like 450 the day after the New York Pro. I'm like, what am I doing? I knew it.
Yeah, I know. It's
every shoot, he would do that. Just one more. It looks more realistic with another plate on. Oh my God. Okay, I'm shooting with Kevin English and Sammy Al-Haddad, and he's got me doing the 160-pound dumbbells. This is a day after New York. And Kevin's like, fuck, I ain't touching that. He's like, I'll help hand them to you.
Yeah.
That's about it. And I was like all excited. I'm like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't get injured.
Okay, thank God,
Yeah.
I mean, is that the same? Because I also heard, like, I heard of the like the terrible story that what happened with John Pierre Fuchs.
Yeah.
Was that the same photographer or no?
No, that was I think um Lind was this guy's name. Per Banal was the one who shot me.
Okay.
That injury with Jean-Pierre Fuchs was another photographer.
Okay.
I forget which one, but that was a nightmare. I think he did the set.
Yeah.
And then the shots didn't come out.
Yeah.
And they made him try it again like 45 minutes later, and whoosh, gone.
Yeah.
Both
Terrible. But like you said, thank God you didn't get hurt. I mean, thankfully I've never gotten suckered into, I never, nobody's pressured me into doing that. But I mean, I have kind of been pressured somewhat to go a little heavier than I plan to, like in certain workouts when a training partner that I don't normally train with comes along. Yeah. And they want to start the ego stuff. Yeah. So let's do this. Like I find
we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
I always say I'm 10% stronger when there's a camera on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have someone film a set just so I can break a record, a personal best.
Right.
So Nate, ask George what you were asking me yesterday, what you wanted to ask him.
So one thing I wanted to ask you, just in general, New York, New Jersey's been shut down with the gyms. What have you been able to do to escape? Obviously, you had to prep for the Tampa Pro. Did you have a show planned before that, or was that sort of always your sights set on that? And then how have you navigated having no gyms this whole time?
Yeah, that's a great question. My original plan was to do the New York Pro when it was originally scheduled to happen in May, I believe. So that was initially the plan. And of course, when that got postponed, then the plan shifted to eventually doing Tampa, which we did. As far as maneuvering during the whole lockdown and pandemic, I really had to scramble and figure out what to do. Because when the gyms got shut down, I was kind of just training at home for the most part, and I was since I don't have nearly the amount of weights that I have at home that are available at the gym. I was trying to compensate for that by doing more time under tension training, like very slow reps. Really like make sure I'm getting as much blood as I can in the muscle. But that was only effective for so long, and so eventually I ended up getting a few training sessions in at my coach Justin's house. When him and his wife, felt comfortable enough to let me come over and train there. And I also had a friend who had a little, private facility that would kind of let me in and get some workouts in there. So through those two, I was able to, get it done. I mean, and the one thing about it is that you see how spoiled, we all are now, because when you train at a gym like Bev's, where you got tons of equipment, like this, tons of everything, I was essentially taken back to pure basics, during this whole thing, because the private facility that I was at and Justin's house, it's nothing but basic stuff. Like, so for legs, it's just a squat rack, it's just the a leg press and leg extension, leg curls, and that's pretty much it. Same thing at the little facility that I was at. For chest, it was just bench press and dumbbells, and that's it. You got to make it work. But it seems that my body really responded, to that very well. I mean, I've always been an advocate to basic training as it is, because I always feel like nothing beats the basics. I mean, it's great that we have, all the different machines that you hit muscles at different angles as of right now, but nothing, beats the basics. And I always say do both. Like I say, unless you have some kind of injury that prevents you from doing free weight movements and whatnot, I say do both. So when I train normally, now the gyms are back open, I incorporate both. I incorporate free weight movements and, machines into my workouts, so I get the, benefit of both. But yeah, for that whole period, I think it was about maybe 5 months or so, I was just, pure, just basic training, and my body was still responding. And I was kind of in a little bit of my happy place during this whole lockdown and quarantine, because even before the lockdown and quarantine happened, there was only one or three places you would find me: either home, gym, or work. Home, gym, work. Just, that's it. I don't hang out. I don't really do that. I'm kind of like a homebody, and kind of like a hermit. So the quarantine was like, I was just like, it was my happy place. Like I was just go to the gym. I mean, or go to like my friend's place. Go to Justin's house. Come back home. Just back and forth. That was it. So it worked out for me really at the end of the day.
So you mentioned work. What's work for you?
Oh, I work for a cable company out here in the tri-state area. It's called Optimum.
Okay.
Yeah. So and I do tech support for them, and I've been fortunate enough that when they shut the office down because of the whole COVID, I was still able to work from home. So so I have my little setup there in my basement, and I work at nights. I work from 5:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. So I would wake up. So my daily routine would be wake up, eat, go train, come back home, go downstairs, work, go to bed.
That's something great for people to know is most people think that you get a guy like George Peterson, one of the more recognizable names in the industry right now, would be floating in money from bodybuilding. And that's just not reality.
Nope.
You have to have a job. You've been doing this for how long now?
I've been working at Optimum for 11 years,
Yeah, exactly. So, and you wouldn't give that up for the world.
No, not at all. I mean, like I've been asked that question before. I mean, it's hard for me to answer. Like, what would it take for me to, start working at Optimum and like be like a full-time bodybuilder? I mean, I don't know. I mean, but I just feel, huh?
A few mil?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if you were making $300,000 from a supplement company, that's more than likely gone in a year or two.
Right.
So you got to keep that job.
Right. I mean, because that's not life-changing money. You know what I mean? So you have to be smart about it. And on top of that, at Optimum, not only the consistent paycheck, but the benefits. The health benefits. 401k, the retirement plan. Everything. You know what I mean? And and I was working at Optimum. Before bodybuilding really became a major thing in my life. So I'm not going to all of a sudden just stop that. So it's about being smart, like you said, Jose.
Of course.
Has it crossed your mind? What we interviewed last week, Nick Walker, right? It was an upcoming guy out of Jersey. And one of the surprising things for him is while he's still an amateur, not even a pro yet, he's now making some kind of living, right? Whatever that is, off of coaching, off of YouTube videos, sort of the new norm now. And then he's got his supplement company endorsements. Has that crossed your mind when you see someone like, let's say, Evan Senapani, who we've had on, that this formula now of online coaching, of YouTube videos, of various sponsorships, where you have essentially total freedom to do what you want to do, and you don't have that 5 to 2 a.m. schedule? Has it crossed your mind to think about giving that a go, or no, because of all the reasons you mentioned, the benefits and the job security?
Oh, well, I've definitely considered it for sure. I mean, I'm still considering it, to this day. I mean, I'm trying to find a way where I can do all of it without like completely burning myself out. Because the thing is, like, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't put that much content up there, and the reason for that is because of time. Like it's like I don't have the time to make this YouTube video for this now. Like when I go to the gym, I don't have the time to spend so much, whatever many hours there to record me doing this and that. I have to get there, I have to train, I have to get back home so I can get to work. So it's kind of like I feel like I would need more time to be able to do a lot of that other stuff, like especially like the YouTube and everything, to really give that the time necessary to put out a video every week. If I did chose to leave Optimum, then I would have plenty of time to do all that. I mean, all of it. Then you would be seeing a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm trying to get my schedule together where I can continue to work at Optimum and still be able to find time to pump out good YouTube video maybe once a week or twice a week, whatever it's going to be. But yeah, it's definitely crossed my mind. It's crossed my mind for sure. But I mean, right now, I'm still I'm still making a decent amount of money, income from bodybuilding as it is. So I got time. I'll figure that out. But right now, my primary focus right now, it's like it's that Olympia, getting ready for this Olympia. You know what I mean? Like that right now means more to me than anything else.
Has it been an issue juggling for everything you said? Now having your the Redcon sponsorship, juggling that, the requirements that obviously they're going to want the most out of you, right? They want you to post every day if you can do it, or film workouts, or has that been a challenge with a lack of time given your day job?
Right. I mean, somewhat, but not detrimental. It has been detrimentally stressful, in order to get the content that the Redcon requests. And and Redcon One, I mean, I love them. Like they're super understanding. There have been times where they ask me if I can make an appearance somewhere. And if I say, I can't because let's say I can't get the day off from work for whatever reason, they completely understand, and they always give me good amount of notice before they, ask if I need to, go somewhere, because they know that I have a full-time job. So they're completely understanding. I love Redcon One. Shout out to Aaron Singleman. Shout out to my boy Rudy, who's the athlete manager. There you go. Redcon One.
I literally didn't even plan this. I just happened to grab this T-shirt today to wear.
Yeah,
I was like,
Nate has had the shirt on of every person we've interviewed.
Really?
Yeah. We interviewed Jay. We both had hats on, bells, whistles, T-shirts, little Jay Cutler doll in the background.
That's how you got to do it. Yeah. But basically, to answer your question, I was trying to find. I mean, it's not that hard for me to be able to get the content I need to promote Redcon One, and I can find time to do that. I mean, I would say like those YouTube video stuff, all that other stuff. That's the hardest part. I feel like that's more time consuming than anything else. But yeah, no, it's not hard for me to get the Redcon One stuff out.
You just gotta find a young kid that's in the gym, that's a fan, that loves doing that stuff, and say, listen, I'm going to be here every day at 2:00. If you want to come, I'll give you $100 a week to film me for 45 minutes, 4 days a week. And some of those kids are geniuses with editing.
Yes.
They'll manage all that stuff for you.
Yes.
And then, once it starts blowing up, you show them and be like, all right, now I'll pay you $1,000 a month or whatever.
Right. You're actually right. You're 100% right, Jose, and that's what I'm gonna eventually end up doing. I just gotta find somebody. Maybe I'll put up a story on IG, say if you're in the New York area and if you're good at this, could reach out to
anyone
me.
is in the what is it, Bev's area, Long Island area?
Yeah, Long Island. Yep.
And you want to film George and get involved in helping him out on his YouTube, reach out to George. You can comment here on the YouTube channel and we'll get you to him. Or you just find him on his social media. Because it's a great opportunity for someone young that is looking to bust into this industry, whether it be photography or just learning from watching George every day,
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.
There's a lot of opportunities out there like that. And that's kind of what I did. I would always find someone who was really interested in it and they would offer, listen, I can help you do this if you. I'm like, let's do it. And that's how it works,
Absolutely. But that's the era that we're in right now. Jose, I'm sure I'm sure you were in like the era before social media really popped off.
I didn't know computers. I didn't know how to upload anything. That was a big issue later in my career when I was with iForce and BPI, and they're like, dude, why aren't you posting anything? I'm like, I'm fucking training. What do you mean posting?
Yeah.
What? We need you to post 5 times a week. One with holding a shaker cup, one with holding your prick. I'm like, dude, no, I don't. Just let me train. The only way I'm going to be my best is if I can train.
Right.
Right. At least take a couple pictures and send them to us, and we'll post it. I'm like, yeah, we'll figure something out.
Right.
Because I am from that era before social media, where it'd be posted once a month in Flex Magazine or Muscular Development.
Right.
That's my post. I didn't I didn't post any shit. I didn't
So,
know how to do that.
so I want to ask you then, Jose. So do you feel that it was easier to be a bodybuilder back before social media popped off, because compared to now when you have all these kind of obligations put on you that you got to post this, post that? Do you feel like it was easier to be a bodybuilder at that point, before?
So yes, for people like you and I that actually win shows, I don't win shows anymore, but I won.
Hey, you won.
And I did well.
Yes.
It was easier because you had to win and you had to be successful and you had to be someone to be recognized and get those contracts, get in the magazines, and then you'd be someone. Today, you can be anyone as long as you got the right filter on your camera and you know when to post, the Google analytics of how to do this and how to do that.
Right.
You can become a superstar with 12 million followers and you ain't won shit.
Right.
And you don't look like shit,
Right.
But you making money and you so those guys ended up replacing the winners. A lot of the winners, because a lot of the winners are like focus minded. Yeah. I gotta eat, I gotta sleep, I gotta train. I don't have time for this nonsense.
Right.
Where the other guys were like, I'll do it. First they were like, I'll do it for a bucket of protein. And then they started making money, and then they started taking jobs and I may sound like an bitter old guy, but
you're right. You're right.
That's the reality of it. The guys who weren't being successful were great at faking it. We're taking the jobs of the guys who were successful.
Right.
I mean, as far as competition, as far as bodybuilders go, and at the same time, I'm very happy for those people have that outlet, because you have guys that never compete and I'm making 20 grand a month on YouTube talking about bodybuilding.
I mean, more power to them,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's awesome. Yeah. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think it's, I can't listen to a guy who's never been in the trenches tell me about, here we really like to see better conditioning from George. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Jose, is that your Nick Strength and Power voice right there?
Oh, I'm not calling anyone out. I'm not involved in that shit. But my voice, I can't even do a Nick.
But I feel like bodybuilding is like kind of like maybe like the only sport where you can actually do something like that, because I never played professional football. So if I was to start a YouTube channel and start critiquing
professional football
players, why would anybody listen to me? Why? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is my credibility in that?
That's the genius of it. Is this kid, and many like him, started a channel because no one else did it. Flex Wheeler didn't do it. Sean Ray didn't do it. Putting out content every single day. Yeah. Well, that's because he was a young kid living in his mom's house and didn't have bills, didn't have, he was able to sit there, didn't have a real job that we knew of. And again, I'm not focusing on this one kid, but some of them, if you looked at like that kid who has a huge following up in Canada, these guys spend hours upon hours in their bedroom.
Of course.
Editing stuff and talking about you and talking about,
right.
And that is the genius of it, is they were able to do it because no true bodybuilder was bright enough or forward thinking enough to do it before them.
True.
I would much rather watch Flex Lewis talk about bodybuilding. I'd much rather watch George Peterson. I'd rather watch Justin.
Yeah.
Justin had a great physique. I know Justin was in the trenches at one time.
Yeah.
And but I would rather watch any true bodybuilder than just some guy that talks about it.
I would agree 100%. I agree with you.
It's tough because the average audience watching this stuff, whether it's like Nick Trigili video, Nick Strength and Power, Greg Doucette, isn't educated, so they don't know anything, and maybe they want to learn more, but these shows are catering to the worst of it in terms of like, I wonder what this guy's taking. I wonder if this guy's natural or not, right? The stuff that a beginner's going to wonder in their head. It's genius of these shows because when you meet somebody at a gym, a Planet Fitness or whatever, that's the stuff running through their head. I wonder if this guy's natural or not. I wonder how much he benches. I wonder, what's he taking? I mean, just an average person meeting you at Bev's, you know, some 18-year-old kid walking in. Of course, his mind is going to think George looks like this because he's on something I'm not.
Right.
You know, they're not with you squatting over 500 pounds.
Right.
So it's kind of catering to the worst in people rather. And it's fun. It's that Kardashian type of entertainment where it's immediate. It's not, let me explain to you this whole process of how you got to live like a bodybuilder, eating 6 meals a day and training and recover. You know, there's nothing fun about that. There's nothing entertaining about it. That's what Greg Doucette does so well is, to a lot of people, he's very entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, it's the entertainment value of it way more than the actual knowledge and the content he's putting out.
Right. But one thing I noticed about a lot of guys also, it's not only the fact that, you know, they're you know, discussing and talking about bodybuilding, but, you know, they all have like their own kind of, you know, niche. Like for example, Greg Doucette, like he's very animated, you know, like when he's talking, he's very animated. So like that's his thing. And, you know, and that, you know, that's intriguing, you know, that helps it. You know, same thing with a lot of, everybody has their own niche. Like, you know, Nick Strength and Power, he has that deep voice kind of, you know, like, you know, and you know, they all have the, you know, their own little thing. I think that, you know, gives them their own, like, you know, big following, you know what I mean? It's not just regular all talking, you know, everybody has their own thing, kind of niche, you know?
There's room for everyone. I don't hate on any of them. Right. I don't agree with a lot of what they say, you know.
Or you're not going to get anything out of it. You know, you're not going to watch it because there's nothing for you to learn out of it other than, I guess, how to make money on YouTube, right? There probably are some blueprints there of what they're doing to make money.
Right? Yeah. So let's switch gears here. I want to ask a question because back when I was competing, I competed quite a lot. And it didn't matter if I won a show. If I was in shape and there was a show coming, I would do it. And I would do it to try to eliminate my competition. You know, so if the New York Pro is coming up, that's your show, even though it's in Tampa.
Right.
How hard would it be for you to go down there and go win the New York Pro? I mean, is the weight an issue?
Well,
and is it tempting to go down and do the Open? Stand next to John De La Rosa. I mean, why not?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, at this point, I mean, and I think we're only like how many days out are we off from the New York Pro?
Probably like 8 days.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, the weight would be an issue. I mean, because you know, I've rebounded up in weight since I did Tampa, so the weight would be an issue. If I was gonna,
230. You're over 230 still?
Yes, over 230 right now still.
233? So, is that what you were?
Yeah, 233. Yep. So I mean, you know, it wouldn't be smart for me to, you know, to try to, you know, do the 212 for the New York Pro. I mean, if I was gonna do it, I mean, I would probably have to do the Open, but I mean, it's better for us to right now all our focus is on improving, you know, for the Olympia. You know, that's the goal. I mean, we got that qualification out in Tampa, so now like the goal is the Olympia, because we feel like we can make dramatic improvements, you know, from that time to the time of the Olympia, if we utilize it all rather than, you know, just, you know, doing another show, just to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Was it a mind fuck, like going from what did you have to be, 190 for?
192. 192.
And then a year later, you have to be 212. I know mentally that I know, like, if I'm 192, I'm going to be peeled. There's no if and or about it.
Right.
I had, what is that? 20 more pounds.
20 pounds, yeah.
20 more pounds. Is there something in your head that says, like, wow, I don't know if I'm going to be exactly shredded the way I should be at 211, 210. You know, just a year ago, I was shredded at 192. Does it play with your mind at all? I know that I used to play with myself and think that, you know, if I'm not a certain weight, I wouldn't be as tight, you know?
Right. Well, no, it didn't. I believed, and I honestly did. I believed that I would still be, peeled at, like at 211, 210, because for multiple reasons. For one, when I was getting ready for those classic shows, and I would be show ready way before I, reached 192.
Right.
I only had to. I got down to 192 because I had to, and I had to sacrifice muscle to get down there. So I feel like now with the muscle I get to keep, it'll push up against the skin more. So I honestly felt like I would, I could look even more ripped, possibly at a higher weight than I would be at a lower weight, because the muscle is pushing up against the skin more. It'll be more of a wow factor. Second reason is because Justin, that's my guy. There's no way he's gonna allow me to get on that stage and not be peeled. So I had full 100% faith in him and his guidance and everything. There was another, the one thing that was a little bit of a mindfuck though, during the process of getting stage ready. Like normally, when we had to get ready for the classic shows, I had to get down to 192. Justin always wanted to make sure I was ready, super, super early. That way we didn't have to do anything drastic to make that weight. You know what I mean? So we didn't want it to be like 2 weeks out from the show and I'm 20 pounds over the weight. We didn't want it to be like that for those classic shows. Now that we had more weight, to play with, I would it was almost like it was a new process. It was almost like training a new bodybuilder because, let's say at 4 weeks out, I'm used to seeing myself super duper peeled. This time around, 4 weeks out, I was conditioned, but I wasn't the same kind of peeled I was at that point. So I was thinking, damn, am I behind? But I wasn't really behind. It was just it's just a different process now. You know what I mean? I didn't have to be that ready.
It's a different look.
It's a different look. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's a different look. That's the only thing. So that was it. And one thing about, switching from the classics to 212, that was just really the biggest thing on my mind was that unknown. The unknown, because I know that I'm, relatively going to be one of the taller guys in that class. Yeah. So I was just wondering, okay, what is this going to look like? Yeah. With me standing next to, I don't know what a lot of them their height. What they're probably, a lot of them probably 5'6", man, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. But I didn't know how that comparison was going to look. So I was like, this is going to be very interesting. You know what I mean? That was really kind of the biggest thing on my mind.
It's great to hear you say that, because that's precisely what Nate and I were saying when we did a preview of New York, where we were saying clearly you're going to have the most dense physique, the most mature physique up there. And we just, we both agreed, I don't know how that's going to translate. If you were on stage with me, you'd be almost 5 inches taller than me.
That's what I'm saying. And you were crazy thick, so it's right.
But you have an ability. I told this to Justin. I'm like, you have an ability with your density to look way bigger than your weight. You did that in classic, and now you're showing that in 212. Even though you were the tallest guy, you were still the biggest guy. That's staying within the parameters of the division. So hats off to you. And that's an important way to battle it, is to know it. You were thinking ahead of time, how is this going to look? Well, I got to make sure it looks damn good.
Absolutely. 100%. I knew that I had to, just basically do what brought us to the dance. And people, know me for, the condition that I bring. So I know I had to keep that in there. Regardless of anything, yeah, we got more muscle, but we got to be peeled up. We got to be peeled. Yeah. So that was 100% in my mind, the whole time.
Can you talk about how you connected with Justin? Was this when you were an amateur and doing bodybuilding? Did you start working with him once you were doing classic physique? And also, second part of that, we've had a lot of guests on that have either stayed with one coach for a long time, as you have, or you have the other side, right, where people coach hop. And Justin's been, I guess, unfortunate to work with some people that I guess he brought them to the dance. Steve Lorius, Amit, Roy, various people. I'm not saying this to stir the pot, but someone hops on to the next best thing, the next coach. Right. Can you talk about why you're still with him? Because I'm sure, given now your name and even more potential that you have, you've probably had some people reach out and say, I can be the guy to get you to win that Olympia. Right.
All right. Well, for the first part of that, I mean, it's an interesting situation how me and Justin, linked up. So as in the beginning, as Jose mentioned, I started, in bodybuilding. I was a light heavyweight bodybuilder at first. That's where I won like my first overall at an amateur show, the New York Metropolitan in 2012. And then I went up to heavyweight, and then that's when things went downhill for me, in my, amateur bodybuilding career. Like, did nationals, was coming in dead last, and that's because I was just like, I didn't like the way my physique. I shouldn't have went up to heavyweight that fast. I should have stayed light heavyweight, and because I still had more room there. But it also had to do with I didn't have not necessarily the right guidance at that point. So I went up to heavyweight, and I just didn't like the way my physique was looking. My waist was like getting bigger and all that stuff. So after 2013, I hung it up. I said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was essentially retired for 3 years, and had no inkling or no desire to come back to bodybuilding, ever again. I was pretty much done.
Were you still training like a bodybuilder during that time?
I was still pretty much training like a bodybuilder. Yes, I was going to the gym every day because I had a training partner who competed with me at that time in 2012 and 2013. Me and him were boys tight. So we still trained together every day. So that never changed really, But I lost a lot of size because I wasn't eating like a bodybuilder. I was just working. I was working out like a bodybuilder, but wasn't nowhere as strong as I used to be. Everything everything went down. So he wanted my training partner. He wanted to do another show in 2016, and we both knew of Justin, but like I didn't know Justin. Like I just knew of him. So he reached out to Justin, and he wanted Justin to help him for his show. And he wanted me to go with him to meet Justin, just for support. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go with you, no problem. And then we go there and, meet Justin, talking to Justin, and Justin looks at him. And then Justin asks if I want him to look at me. And I said, well, I mean, I'm not doing anything. I mean, I'm not going to do any shows, but if you want to look at me, you can look at me fine. And then Justin looks at me and he's like, I saw an expression on his face. He was like, okay, I think we could do something here, George. And I said, well, Justin, I really got no desire to compete again. But if I'm gonna compete again, what do you think about Classic? What do you think about doing the Classic? And then I'll tell you the reason why I asked him that, because it goes back to when I said I felt like I shouldn't have went up to heavyweight so fast. I felt like if I would have came down, I would have looked better in 2013 than I did. So I felt like I knew that I had to come down and weight to do Classic. So I felt like if I come down and weight instead of trying to be this big, massive dude, that it'll bring out the aesthetics in my physique. It'll, bring out those nice lines. I just really felt confident about that. So
that was 182 at that time, right?
It was like 182. Actually, no, it was 177. Oof. At that point, it was 177. So, and at that point, I was like 200 pounds. I was 200 pounds at that point. So, so he said, so Justin looked at me, he's like, Classic, really? Because I still had like decent muscle on me. He's like, really, George, Classic? I don't know. You look like a bodybuilder to me, but step on the scale. Let's see where you're at right now. So, and then he was like, all right, well, let's go for it. Either one of two things is going to happen. And he said this like after we started getting ready for the contest. He's like, all right, one of two things is going to happen for what I'm seeing here. You're progressing. Your muscle memory is coming back. You're progressing very, very well. Either you're going to take first or you're going to take dead last because they may think you have too much muscle for this. So it was like, I don't care. Just bring me in shape. I don't care what happens. And we did the show. We did the Easterns of 2016 and won the overall there. 2 weeks later, we did nationals and I won the overall there. The first ever Classic League national champion, 2016. That's when I turned pro. So,
I was there. I watched.
Oh, you was there?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, man, that was a good time. I still remember that like it was yesterday. But I was so on cloud nine. I just a few months ago, like I had no kind of desire to be a bodybuilder anymore. And then now I'm a professional. It was like, it was just unbelievable. And when the way, and because it happened that way, I felt like, okay, this is like pretty much my destiny. This was meant to happen. Like, I'm a believer in God, and I feel like God has a plan for all of us. And I feel like, okay, this is my plan. You know, this is the plan that He had for me. And the second part of your question is like, why did I stick with Justin? And I feel like that has to do with two things. If you're gonna have a guy help you and guide you and prep you, you gotta ask yourself, do you trust this person? You know, and if you ask me that in regards to Justin, and the answer is 100% hell yeah. I have 100% trust and faith in Justin. And you know, you also have to understand that people are human. Like, prep coaches are human. You know, you got to give them time to understand your body, learn your body. The more time you give them to work with you, the better, the more you're helping them get better at helping you. I mean, the fact that, you know, I've been with Justin, you know, for so long, we've done so many shows together. Justin has my body down to a T now. So that makes us more dangerous as a unit together than it would be if I was to go from this guy to that guy to that guy. Because then now you got to go through the whole process again of a new person trying to figure out your body, you know? So that's that. And, you know, I mean, and loyalty also, you know, should play a factor. And I mean, if you know the person is good, if you know the person has your best interest in their mind, then, and that person is true, you know, is a friend and is really cares about you doing well, then I feel like you should be loyal to that person. I mean, you know, like a lot that's the one thing that a lot of people lack today is just, you know, flat out loyalty. I mean, I can understand that if the situation is not right and it's just not working out, then you gotta you know, part ways. That can happen. That's fine. But I have absolutely no reason to leave Justin, none whatsoever. And I tell you another thing. Me and Justin, you know, worst case scenario, if me and Justin were to lose the next 10 shows in a row together, I'm still gonna stay with Justin until we get it right. You know why? It goes back to the trust. I trust and I believe that Justin. You know, if there's something that we didn't do right, I believe that together we can get it right. We can make it right. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it.
Let's face it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You guys together have put together a string of, I want to say 99.9% perfection. Like, meaning I haven't seen you off even more than 1%.
Appreciate
you know,
it.
As far as conditioning goes.
Yeah.
And the only, that 1% would be this past 212 show. And
Yeah,
that's only because I'm not used to seeing you that full, you know? Right. So you weren't off at all, but compared to previous dryness, you know, you might've been 1% off and it was irrelevant because you were 100% better than everyone else.
Appreciate that.
You know, it's just your own look. You've been drier, but this is a process. I don't know of a single 212 guy that could say, I'm going to compete 20 pounds heavier next year and come in that dry still.
Right. But see, Jose, it goes back to when I was saying, because both me and Justin we were both wondering what that look was going to be like. That comparison was going to be like me next to shorter guys who are thick, you know, because when you think of 212, I mean, you think of like you, Jose, you think of guys like you think of the top notch guys, you know, Fletch as exactly.
Even Clarita,
they're
all the short.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, so the reason why I'm mentioning that is because when it comes to, you know, like why this, you know, for this 212 show, I might not have been as dry as I was, say, for the classic shows, because Justin also wanted to make sure that I had the fullness to compete in 212, because we know we're going against better bodybuilders now. We're going against thicker guys. We didn't want me up there, you know, looking stringy or flat. We wanted to make sure we had a combination of both, of condition and fullness. So that's what that was. But like you said, it's all a process, and whatever we need to fix going forward for the Olympia, trust me, we're going to do that.
What I like about it is you have now the opportunity to pull out all the stops for the Olympia. And if you're able to win the Olympia, it's not going to be because you're fuller than everyone else. it's going to be because you are lights out from every angle with detail that is unimaginable. That's what would be different from Tampa.
Right.
You could suck that dry just a little bit, wring it out just a little bit. Even if you gave up 0.5% of fullness to be stupid dry,
yes,
that's what would win the Olympia.
Yes.
Because it just shows polish, quality. I mean, you're not going to lose muscle. You got old man muscle on you that is real, you know.
Right.
And you know, the guys that you're going against, the only other guy that would have that kind of polish is Kamal.
Right.
Because he got that old man muscle.
Right.
You're not going to beat Lunsford because you're prettier. You're not going to beat him because you're bigger. You would beat him because you're more polished.
Polished, right.
You know, same thing with Clarita. You look like a giant next to Clarita. But if you can't match him with detail and quality, then he's going to be hard to beat.
Exactly. It's
so
true.
all you have to do is what you've done all along is come in 100% polished. And man, that's going to be a beautiful sight to see.
Appreciate that, Jose. It means a lot, you know, coming from you. You know, a legend in the game, freaking icon. So, you know, I'm gonna keep those words with me, and I'm gonna, you know, do exactly that, man.
I know you will. I know Justin. Justin knows. I don't even have to talk to Justin. He knows exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
Sure. Nate, what else you got?
Yeah, I'm curious about going back a little bit in your classic physique days. The mindset that you had, you know, everybody for the most part, your last few shows was in agreement of George can't be any better, you know, for that weight limit, right? Like you couldn't have been drier, more peeled, fuller. It just, maybe the only knock was he looks like a bodybuilder and not a classic physique, right? And what was your mindset going into these shows where it's flip a coin, right? Like between you, Brion, and Bumstead, you have three very different physiques, all incredible. And I would argue, you know, you and Brion being incredibly complete. Bumstead, you can pick apart muscles, right? He needs more arms, more back, whatever, especially back standing next to you.
Right.
What was that like going into a show where, especially the last Olympia, where it wasn't judged like a bodybuilding show, right? Where you're going through and saying pose for pose, who wins. It's more of the silhouette of somebody or the ideal of what this division should be versus pose for pose. Did that mess with your head as you started going into these shows and you're saying, I can't be any better? Or you almost looking at the shots pose for pose of the three of you lined up and saying, I win in this one, in this one, in this one. You know, let me do the math here. Why aren't I winning this show?
I mean, honestly, my mindset for going into every one of those classic Olympia shows was, I mean, I always felt, regardless of what people online were saying, I always felt that classic physique was essentially bodybuilding, but we just had to make a weight. You know, I mean, of course, you know, in classic physique, you want to look for guys who have great shape, great aesthetics. But I feel like you look for the same thing in bodybuilding too, don't we? I mean, you know, in bodybuilding, you want guys with great shape, great aesthetics as well. I mean, which is the reason why guys like Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray are praised so highly, because they had such aesthetics and in great shape, you know, symmetry. You know, and speaking of, like, say, of a Flex Wheeler, like, you know, everybody would always say that Flex Wheeler was like the ultimate classic physique, right? That's what I felt like that. I felt, you know, and a lot of people felt like that. So I was like, okay, well, granted, but he's also a bodybuilder. Flex Wheeler was a bodybuilder. So how can we say that I wouldn't be classic because I look too much like a bodybuilder, but yet we say that Flex Wheeler was a classic physique, but he's a bodybuilder. So that's why I never fell into that whole that classic physique isn't bodybuilding. I felt like it's bodybuilding. We just have, you know, you just bring a certain look. So I felt like, you know, if I could bring my absolute, you know, best look, you know, with great shape and aesthetics, you know, to the classic Olympia, that I felt like that, you know, that I could win. I never lost faith in that until, you know, like, you know, 2019 Olympia, and I was completely fine, with it because I understood it, and I mean, I've said this before. I'll say for you guys that, okay, let's take Raymond, for example, who won the men's physique. He doesn't look like he could win classic physique in Olympia. You got Bumstead. He doesn't look like he could win men's open bodybuilding. So if they would have awarded me the classic physique Olympia, but at the same time you have people saying that I look like I could win the 212 Olympia, that blurs the lines between the two divisions. I understand they want the divisions to have their own particular look so that people are not confused. So because of that, I understand exactly why, I wasn't awarded, like the classic physique Mr. Olympia title. And that was the catalyst that basically helped me make that decision for me to, go on to 212. So I completely understand it, but before that happened, my mindset was always to look, just bring the best look you can, George. You can win this. You're right there. I mean, if you're placing third in the Olympia multiple years, you got to be right there. You just won the Arnold Classic, and that was against, like I said, Laureus, who, people were, saying that, this guy's, probably like the ultimate classic physique right now because he has that tiny waist and everything like that. So I was like, hey, well, I mean, if I just won there, then I feel like I could. And when the look I brought for the 2019 Olympia was even better than what I did for the 2019 Arnold. So I was like, so I felt like I could win this, But it is what it is. But like I said, I understand it. I understand it completely.
What does your house look like? Do you have that Arnold trophy out in the living room?
I have it all in the living room. You want me to take you there?
See, I'm always curious. So we have, if you go to Jose's house,
tour.
Jose's house, yes, Jose's house, you would never know a bodybuilder lived there. There's not a trophy, there's not a medal. And we had on Guy Cisternino, who has a shrine to himself in one of the rooms.
Right, I got all my Olympia medals right here. These are the swords. This is the sword I won in 2017 for the Tampa. This is what I just won Tampa this year. My Arnold Classic is right here. So, and this is when I won nationals. Jose, this big boy right here.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Is that a painting or a photo?
It's a painting. It's this guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got my little shrine there.
I gotta make me one of those. I lost all my shit.
Really?
Thank God for Steve Cardillo, because he's got my Arnold cup, the crystal cup there. He's got it in a showroom in a glass case and everything. That's the closest thing I have to any shrine. And it's miles away from my house.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, but that's very cool. Just so you know, the guy who did that painting, his Instagram is physique for you. So if you want to hit him
I've
up.
seen that.
Yeah,
One from me.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I was gonna say is the greatest thing for you, I think, looking back, that you'll look back one day and say, being a classic physique competitor groomed me to be the best bodybuilder I could be. Yes. Because unlike 212, unlike open bodybuilding, in classic, they put a premium on the posing, on the presentation. And you also were able to learn your body, how to manipulate water and weight and really, really understand your body better. Where a lot of bodybuilders, 212 and open, just come out raw. Yes. They just do their thing. I got to be big, and then suck the water out, know, and then I'll hit a couple poses, raw, where with classic, there's a lot more thought put into it. Of course, there's open and 212 bodybuilders that are meticulous, but not to the degree that you had to be successful in classic. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be an amazing transition. It already is. And I think looking back, you, Keon, the greatest things you guys could have done was do that classic. Not only did it help you prepare mentally and physically, but it it allowed you to develop a brand, you know, have success, get a buzz going, get your name out there. You're both sponsored athletes. You're both well known. You're both ones to watch for. So it's the greatest thing for your careers moving forward. I think a lot of people should take heed of that. And you know, when they're coming up, where do I fit in? Well, start with the classic. Because if your physique is not, I mean, let's face it, 212 is open bodybuilding short. You know, that's what it is. They're all big, big, big. You weren't going to tell me Flex Lewis was small. He had gigantic arms, gigantic legs. He's just short.
Right.
You know, Ahmad Ashkenani had the best back in bodybuilding. You know, the width on him. You, David Henry, there's no open backs that look like yours. You're just shorter guys.
Shorter,
You know,
that's true.
So moving forward, I think you're going to see more of that. You're going to see more graduating from classic to 212, and like you'll be going open soon.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've told many people, like when people ask me, how come you didn't move to 212 sooner? Well, I mean, it wasn't the time. I mean, like if I would have tried to go to 212, you know, back in 2017, 2018, I honestly don't think I would have been ready. But you know, everything happens for a reason, and this was the time. This was the time for me to make that move. And like you said, the classic division groomed me for it. And you're right. I mean, eventually, I mean, yeah, guys, it's going to be the natural progression in the graduation phase. People to go from classic to 212 or open, and the reason for that is because of the weight cap. Because how can you expect to continually progress if you have to keep making the same weight every single time? Like, you know, if you're putting on more muscle, you know, that scale is going to go up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like and it's going to be hard for you to keep those gains if you have to keep sucking down to this whatever weight you have to make for classic. So yeah, it will eventually cause a lot of guys to, you know, graduate from classic over to either 212 or open, depending on how big they are, you know?
Yeah.
So.
What else, Nate?
What was I going to ask? So what are your, how are you feeling you're going to stack up in this Olympia? If you had to make a prediction, you know, and just be ballsy of, you know, obviously you're a very realistic guy. You're coming to win for sure, but you also know you just jumped into a much bigger pond with some of these guys. Where do you think you're going to stack up this year's Olympia?
Well, I honestly believe 100% that I'm going to match up very well with everybody in the, you know, the top, you know, call out. And I 100%, you know, have 100% faith and believe that we're gonna come away with that 212 Olympia title. Like I mean, like you just said, I mean, we come to win. That's why we compete. And any competitor, you know, should never be afraid to say, you know, what they're striving for, and we're striving for that title. I mean, much definitely much respect. And not taking any of the, you know, top guys in the 212 lightly, because we know that it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy. All these guys are good. They're great. They're hungry, you know, and they want that title just, you know, as much as I do. So we're all going to be, you know, fighting for it. It's going to be a dog fight. But I feel like, you know, I just honestly feel like I'm going to be able to bring a look that if I'm 100%, I feel like it'll be, you know, I feel like it'll be hard, and we're gonna get that title for sure. Like that, I honestly believe that in my heart and soul.
I agree with you. I think your quality is going to be, you'll match very well with anyone. It's going to be hard to beat. All you got to do is be your best.
There you go.
And that's the mindset you should have. I mean, if you answered any other way, I'd think you were something wrong with you. You know,
right?
You don't train for second place. Nobody gets out of bed to do an hour of cardio for second place, even though I did it for 10 years.
Yeah.
But I didn't really do it. There was a small percent that thought I could win. But realistically, that's the only answer. So what is your thoughts on competing internationally? Have you competed overseas anywhere yet?
I mean, the only place I don't. Just Canada. I competed in Canada.
That's not overseas.
Oh, my bad.
Nice try,
My
pal.
bad.
I understand you
My
use
bad.
the passport.
I was just thinking
You didn't
outside
go
the
over
U.S.
ocean.
No, I know. I never competed overseas before. I mean, I would like to though. I would like to. I remember right after the 2019 Olympia, I got like an invitation to compete in Korea, but it didn't fit my schedule. So
Oh, that's what sucks. You got to work.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, but if I planned accordingly, I could get it done. I mean, I could do it. I would love to compete internationally. I mean, well, when things get back to normal and we, everything, I would love to be able to compete in Korea, wherever, Australia, wherever. I would love to do that. I would love to do it.
Yeah, I would say jump at the chance. I mean, that was some of the greatest memories of my career, was being able to compete overseas and meeting new fans, and your value skyrockets. You end up getting guest posing appearances in England and, all over the place.
Yes.
I competed in India. Like who the hell knew India had bodybuilding? Or that anyone wanted to see us.
Yeah.
We competed at the Gandhi Arena.
Mm-hmm.
And it held 38,000 people, and it was more than 3/4 full. It was the loudest I've ever heard, ever. We were all backstage, and we could hear like deafening noise. Like, what in the hell is that noise?
Yeah.
And we thought that like Kai and Phil got in a fight or something. So we all run out to the stage and look, and it was Jay Cutler in a suit at the podium talking to them. They'd never seen like a blonde-haired, blue-eyed. He was like a mythical creature, and the place was going nuts for Jay Cutler in a suit. They didn't even care about Kai and Phil dancing around.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was crazy. It was they had security locked arms like this.
Really?
As we were walking up the path to get on stage, because they were pushing like through, trying to touch all the bodybuilders and stuff.
Wow. That's got to be an amazing feeling, Jose.
Yeah, it was wild, man. It was something I'll never forget,
Yes.
But those opportunities, you got to do it. You got to, if you can go to Korea. I went to Korea 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I went to Japan last year. I've been to China, Australia, New Zealand. If you get a chance, and Mo El Masawi puts on the New Zealand Pro, one of the most beautiful places on earth, and amazing people too.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm on it, man. I'm gonna make sure I jot that down. New Zealand Pro. If they put it on, I'll be 100% on board, because I definitely want to do that. I'll do that to broaden my horizons, and like I said, I mean, it's a great opportunity, for your brand, your business, and and just to explore and to meet the different people, the different cultures. I mean, it's got to be just amazing.
Exactly. What else? You have any more parting shots?
I was going to ask, so off of Jose's question of traveling, one of the things we've talked about in the past is, Jose's era, those guys did a lot of shows. They traveled a lot. And what you see now is like, say a Sean Clarita, you make the top 5 and you shut it down and you just put all the eggs in the basket for the Olympia the next year.
Right.
Where do you see yourself falling? You've always sort of done the Arnold and the Olympia, as Jose did in the tail end of his career, plus other shows. Where do you see yourself falling after this year's Olympia going into next year, assuming either hopefully you win or you're at least in that top 5 where you could just jump back into next year's Olympia? So you mean what show would I see myself? Yeah, or not specifically, but do you see yourself? Is there any possibility you would just shut it down and sit out for the next year's Olympia, or would you do a bunch of shows instead?
I've done the whole sitting it out until the next Olympia before. Like I did that from 17 to 18, 2017 to 2018. I did that. That depends. I mean, if I let's say if I have a good amount of maybe guest posing appearances, or let's say if I win the Olympia, when I win the Olympia, I'm gonna say when.
Would you sit it out?
Like, I would sit it out. I mean, at that point, why?
Yeah.
Well, because at that point, when winning the Olympia, I would think that there would be opportunities to travel and do meet and greets and whatnot. I mean, and just promote the sport as the Olympia champion. So if I have the opportunity to do that, I would want to be doing that.
You can do that.
Huh?
But how badass would it be if you said, "No, man, I'm gonna put my ass on the line because I know none of you guys can beat me. So I'm gonna come do the New York Pro. I'll tell Steve right now, stamp my ticket. I'm coming, and you guys can't beat me. And matter of fact, I'm gonna do the Open too."
I mean, I would have no problem. I would have no do the Open too. I mean, I would have no problem with doing that. I mean, I would do the New York Pro. I would if they were to bring 212, say, back to the Arnold. I would even just probably especially do the Arnold.
Yeah.
I would have no problem with doing that. I mean, it's hard for me to put in stone like what I would do at right now, but I would have no problem with doing that. I would do some shows like even after winning the Olympia. Say I would have no problem with doing some shows. That's not an issue with me.
Good.
Good. I mean, I don't know what a lot of guys' reasons are for doing that. I mean, I would say that the reason you would probably hear is because people want to take the time to really improve for that full year.
It's just the risk of losing that title. Say you lose.
This is the way I see it. This is the way I see it. Okay, if you're the best, then you're the best. So that means that you should be able to do whatever show, and a high probability of winning because you're the best. I mean, if like Phil Heath, he could have did whatever show he wanted and won. You know what I mean? Like, that's because he's legitimately the best. So if I'm going to be legitimately the best, then I would not run from any show or anybody, and I would totally be open to doing a New York Pro afterwards or Arnold or whatever show. You know what I mean? It's no problem. Is that what you guys want to see more of? You want to see guys doing more?
Yes. I want to see more George. I want to see more of the top guys competing, because it helps the promoters of the events. It's hard to put on a show with 8 guys that are out of the top 10 at the Olympia.
Yeah.
When you have all the studs sitting out because they want to beat each other at the Olympia, it's hard to promote a show. It's hard to get the value for what you're trying to do. But if you have guys like George that are like, you know what, I'm going to show up at a lot of these shows. And that's kind of how we, as a unit, developed the 212 division between me, Flex, David Henry, Eduardo. We used to do every show. We did, all of us did, 5 or 6 shows a year at the beginning because we were like, holy shit, we may not get another opportunity. Let's do all these shows. Right. So all those shows were stacked, and before you knew it, people are like, oh, wow, this division is awesome. Like, look at all these guys coming in peeled and putting on a show. And that's how the division was able to grow and be to where it is today. It's just only in the last few years that, Flex was sitting out because, he didn't want me to whip his ass. So then, then everyone else started sitting out. Now you got Lunsford sitting out, Clarita sitting out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that. That's not good for the sport. You guys need to get out and promote the sport and be on stage, meet the fans, let everyone know how nasty you are. Not once a year. Right.
I agree with you 100%. I definitely agree with you. And when it comes to I think some guys also, maybe feel like if they do too many shows, they feel like they may burn out. And I don't feel like that because my first year as a pro, 2017, I did. I think it was about 5 shows, and that was in order to qualify, for the Olympics. Because I was like, my places were all over the place. I got 2nd at the New York Pro in 2017, then I got a 2nd in Chicago, then I got 6th in Vancouver, and then I finally got that win in Tampa that year, and that's what qualified me for the Olympia. But my physique kept getting better. Like I didn't feel like I was burning out or anything. So when it comes to that stuff, I don't feel like that would never be an issue with me. So I mean, look, all right. So I'll put it out here right now. All right. After and this is the goal, to win the Olympia. The goal is to win the Olympia. And once that goal's accomplished, you will see me in some shows throughout the following year. You'll see me. All right, trust me on that.
Good. I love it. We're gonna hold you to it. Don't be winning and sitting.
Well, you got it recorded, so you got to hold me to it.
Yeah, we got it. I love it. I love this stuff, Nate. We got it down. So this has been great, man. I really appreciate your time. We've been excited. We talk about you almost daily, and your name comes up at some point or another. So I'm psyched we finally got you on and got to hear from you in person. So kudos to you. Keep training, man. I can't wait to see the Olympia. Anything that you want to promote or where people should follow you? What's your Instagram?
Sure. Well, my Instagram is at George P _DeBull. That's DABULL. My Facebook athlete page is IFBB Pro George Peterson. My Twitter is at George P DeBull. That's DABULL. You can find me there if you want to, hit me up, ask me any questions. Feel free to do so. I got these cool customized DeBull t-shirts with my logo, and they're out. You can
That's badass.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. So I just put these shirts. I got this in red too. I got it in red and white. I'm gonna send you one, Jose. And Nate, I'm gonna hook you up with one too, Nate.
Thank
and
you.
If anybody wants to order one, you go to my Instagram and click the link in my bio. It's under the Bull merch. I also have the Bull face mask type of sound because we gotta stay safe out there. And if you stay safe, the Bull style, COVID ain't gonna mess with you.
I love it. Did you have to have a copyright battle with The Rock for that thing? The Bull?
No, thankfully no. I don't think so. No, but if he comes knocking at my door, I know that there's an issue. But no, everything's all good there. But and what else? Yeah, and I mean that's pretty much it. And one thing I want to say, Jose, is I definitely appreciate you. It definitely means a lot because like everything that's going on right now, it's like a dream come true. And hearing getting those words of wisdom and encouragement from, like I said, like a legend in the game like yourself is it hits me right here. It really hits home. I still remember. You don't know this, but in 2000, was it 2012? I think it was 2012. I was in the audience at the New York Pro watching you. I think when you were battling with Samuel Haddad, and I believe you
13.
13. There you go.
Yeah.
I was in the audience that day, and you won. And I remember it specifically. I remember that was the last minute decision you made to do that show.
The day before. You
gonna do it. Yeah, the night before.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And you came in there and you smashed it. I never would have thought that I would, be on a pro stage like that, watching you guys.
Yeah.
But just to, like I said, just to be able to talk with you and hear these great things from you, it means a lot to me. And Nate, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for, putting this all together and everything. And I appreciate all the support.
Well, we appreciate you, and it's a pleasure. We need you to do one thing. Sure. We just discovered Nate is the nerd of the two of us, and he did some analytic testing or whatever, and he realized that out of all our viewers, and we've been getting some good views, only 88% of them are not subscribers. Uh-huh. So we need to hear from the Bull. Tell everyone to subscribe, smash the like button at the Boston Mass YouTube channel. Tell them all.
Yeah, let me tell you something. If you're looking for the best content out there when it comes to bodybuilding and fitness, make sure you go to the Boston Mass YouTube channel and you smash that like and subscribe button so you get notifications whenever new videos comes out, because they're coming out like rapid fire, baby. You don't want to miss it.
Here we go. Dude, that was one take. That's beautiful. Yeah, no wonder why Redcon got you. You're the master. I'm going to call Aaron and say you don't use him enough.
Thanks, man.
Wow, you're the best, brother. So I'm going to message you. Nate will private message you to his address, and we're looking forward to wearing your shirts and giving you all the support possible.
Sounds good, man. Thank you.
Jose, right, we got to go down there sometime and train with him too.
Yeah, we will for sure.
The gym's opened up.
Yeah, let's do that.
They're open by appointment now, right?
Well, yeah, over by appointment, but you can still come in there. You can just walk in if you want. Also, it's just that they make the appointments priority. The 33% capacity. So I think that for Bevs, that's about 50 people they're allowed at one time. I've been training there this week, and it's been been good. Like lax, no issues. The true test I think is gonna be like over the weekend, like because
so many visitors.
Yeah, like so I wonder how it's gonna be then. I wonder if you're gonna see a line right now. So I guess we'll see tomorrow. But it's good. I'm glad the Bevs is open again.
What time do you normally train?
I usually train like around 1:30 p.m.
1:30. All right, we'll keep that in mind.
Sounds good.
We'll leave here at like 5 a.m. and drive down there.
Cool.
There in time to start.
Sounds good, man.
Hike. All right. Thanks a lot, brother. We will talk soon, and you have a great day.
You too. See you, Nate.
Thanks, George. Bye.